Hello my lovelies and welcome to the Clueless Fangirl YouTube channel. I create content like this, lore videos, live streams and podcasts on Lord of the Ring or rather Tolkien's works on a weekly basis. If you want to follow me on social media, all links are in the description of this video. Enjoy! Hello my lovelies, welcome to the First Age Part 2. For those who haven't seen the first video on this, go and watch it before you listen to this. I refer to lots of events and in general I think you should listen to this chronologically. So we ended with Fingolfin's death at the end of the Dagor Bragolach in the year 455. Let's continue in the year 458. The brothers Hurin and Huor, descendants from the House of Hador, one of the three original houses of men, escaped with the help of the eagles from a battle. The eagles flew them to the gates of the hidden city of Gondolin. No mortal men before them set foot in Gondolin, but the new High King of the Noldor, Torgon, welcomed the brothers. Torgon was told a prophecy by Ormor that from the House of Hador, Gondolin would get help in its darkest, deepest hour. A short excursion here, as it will be important for later. Ormor told Torgon to leave a sword, a mail and a helm in Vinyamar, his residence by the sea, before moving his people to Gondolin. And who would come in exactly that armor would be the answer to their distress and bring actual hope. Keep that in mind, please. So back to Gondolin. Both brothers lived in Gondolin for a while, but they were mortals, and no matter how much they enjoyed the company of the elves, they knew Gondolin was not their destiny. They were allowed to leave the city then, swearing to keep it a secret. And to be fair, they never really broke that secret. More to that later. Let's stay with the House of Hador for a while. In the year 464, one of the most intriguing characters in Tolkien's legendarium was born, Turin Turambar, a man with many names and the most tragic fate of humans in Tolkien's world. We will get to Turin's full story a bit later, as I don't want to spoil anything for now. For now, it's important to know he is the only son of the before-mentioned Hurin and a descendant of the House of Hador. In that same year, Beren, yes, that Beren, encountered Lúthien in the forest of Dungorthep. This encounter is kind of mirroring the encounter of Lúthien's parents in the forest of Doriath. So the men Beren from the royal house of Beor lived in the highlands of Dorthonion. They were forced to live as kind of outlaws due to the devastation of their homes and cities after the Dagor Bragolach. Him, his father Barahir, and 11 loyal men fought many battles against Morgoth's orcs. One day, all of them except Beren, who wasn't there at that time, were slain, and Beren could barely escape to Doriath as the orcs were hunting for him. He had to hide in the forest of Doriath for a while, and he became a friend of all animals in that forest and didn't hunt or ate meat. So he basically was Miller's first vegetarian. I'm just kidding, obviously. One day he encountered Lúthien in the forest and utterly fell in love with her when he saw her dancing and heard her singing. Lúthien was the daughter of the Maya Melian and the elven king of Doriath, Thingol. Lived together for a while, but Beren decided he wanted to ask Lúthien's father properly for a hand in marriage, as he thought the woods are maybe not the perfect place for a princess. As you guys might know, on Tolkien and his wife Edith's tombstone is engraved Beren and Lúthien next to their real names. And I think a lot of this story maybe images or mirrors their life. So it's not hard to guess that especially this story is very close to Tolkien's heart. So back to Thingol. Thingol, even after learning of Beren's royal claim and even being the carrier of the Ring of Barahir, refuses to give Lúthien to a mortal man. And now the curse of the Noldor comes into the game and touches Doriath, which until then had no part in it. Thingol, fully knowing this would be an impossible task, told Beren he would allow the marriage if he would bring him one of the Silmarils that Morgoth took from Fëanor and Finwë. I do love fairy tales, and this is a very typical plot for fairy tales. The hero goes or gets a task that is unrealistic as it gets, and he still accepts it and goes on his journey. So even Tolkien, who influenced so many fantasy writers, takes ideas from older stories or fairy tales. In this case, Beren agrees to all the heroes agree on. He accepts the task and even managed to mock Thingol in a way by telling him that this is actually a shame for how little in these days elven kings sell their daughters for. I do not want to go too deep into the story, but Beren goes to Finrod and asks him for help. Let's remember the oath Finrod gave to Beren's father after he rescued him. He would help his house when in need. Only 10 faithful elves, 10, came with their king for Beren's help and for the quest of the Silmarils. Celegorm and Corofin, sons of Feanor, lived in Nargothrond at that time, and they had persuaded most of its inhabitants to stay behind and not go on a mortal man's quest for the Silmarils. Disguised as orcs, the company of 12, came far, but in the end they were captured by Sauron and imprisoned in Tol in Gowroth, the Isle of Werewolves, that actually once was built by Finrod himself and called Minas Tirith, not the one we know, the original Minas Tirith from the First Age. Finrod at first challenged Sauron to a duel with songs of power. Again, songs and voice holds kind of a strong magic in Tolkien's world. Not only wizards or Maya like Saruman had that magic, but also elves. Although Tolkien never really specifies what it can actually do, it's a reoccurring theme and pretty important. Unfortunately, Finrod was no match for Sauron, who in the end was a Maya, and they became captives of Sauron. But he couldn't figure out who they really were. Again, maybe due to Finrod's magic, I don't know. One by one, they were killed by Sauron, and he wanted to find out what was their purpose, what were they looking for, but he was unsuccessful in his endeavor. In the end, there were only two left, Finrod and Beren. I feel that Finrod kind of knew even before going on that journey with Beren that if the House of Beor would come and ask one day, it would be his end and undoing. And there again, the bravery of Finarfin's son is portrayed. Finrod, friend of all men, wrestled with bare hands the werewolf that came for Beren, slew him but was mortally wounded in the end. So he dies in the tower he once built. Before continuing with the story of Beren and Lúthien, it is important to know that Finrod, besides Glorfindel from the Fall of Gondolin and later Glorfindel from the Lord of the Rings, due to his selfless and noble actions, was reincarnated and given back his mortal form and allowed to return to Valinor. Those two are the only two known elves that got this gift by Mandos or maybe Ilúvatar himself. But back to Lúthien for a bit. As mentioned before, Corofin and Celegorm knew Beren was on the hunt for the Silmarils, and both sons of Feanor were still bound by their oath to reclaim them from Morgoth. No details, but both managed to capture Lúthien. Celegorm even wanted to press Thingol into giving him Lúthien as his wife. Húin, who actually was Celegorm's hound, probably given to him by Orome himself, who was his former master. He helped Lúthien, who he had felt pity for, and he helped her escape her prison. Also, interesting fact about the hound Húin, he was allowed to speak 3 times only, and then he must die. Again, not the time for details, but together Lúthien and Húin mastered and defeated Sauron at the gates of Tol in Gowroth, and she could free Beren from his prison in the tower. I always have to smile when I read this, because in actual folk literature and in fairy tales, isn't it the other way around? The knight in shining armor rescues the princess from the tower, no? Well, in Tolkien's world, the princess rescues the prince from the enchanted tower, I guess. I know that Tolkien is accused often of not having strong female leads, but come on, Lúthien is definitely one of them. So is Galadriel, and so is Éowyn. So now Beren and Lúthien, together with Húin, continue their journey to Melkor. And again, I love the picture of both of them going on their journey and not just Beren alone. As often in Tolkien's works, only together the protagonists can master their quests, I feel. Well, in front of the doors of Angband, disguised as Sauron's vampire ally Thringwithil, what an epic name, and the dead werewolf Draugluin, they encountered one of Morgoth's scariest creations, the great wolf Cajaroth. The wolf felt something was off, but both were disguised, and so he led them before Morgoth's throne. And then Lúthien's magic as a half Maya, but also as the most beautiful woman that anyone ever laid eyes on, came to play. She wove a spell and danced for Morgoth, and thereby the whole court fell into a deep sleep. Again, fairy tale? Well, Beren cut one of the Silmarils, as asked by Thingol, from the Dark Lord's crown, who fell to the floor. But then the magic of the Silmarils, at least that's how I would interpret it, comes to play, and Beren wanted to cut another of the Silmarils out of the crown. Unfortunately, the knife broke, and the shard of the knife stuck the Dark Lord's face, and he began to awoke slowly. Beren and Lúthien managed to escape the halls, but Cajaroth was guarding the way out, and in pure rage bit off Beren's hand that held the Silmaril, and then fled with the Silmaril in him, in sheer terror. As the light of Aman and the two trees, they are still in the Silmaril, and an evil being created by Melkor was definitely not made for that light. So all the three could escape unhindered, but Beren lost his arm, and they actually did and then did not fulfill the task given by Thingol. Summing this up, they got back to Doriath, obviously without the Silmaril, but Thingol learned of all their deeds and finally accepted Beren and saw the quest as fulfilled. Together, him and Beren and Huan then hunted down Cajaroth, who terrorized whole of Beleriand. Beren and Huan died in killing the beast, and later on Lúthien, left as a widow, died soon after of grief over her lost love. Mandos himself felt pity for her and her faith, and she was granted an unheard of faith. Her and Beren were allowed to return in mortal form and live one human life together, which they did, and she chose that mortal life. And from her choice of choosing a mortal life actually comes a choice that was later given to the line, with many examples. Most well known probably their descendants Elrond and Elros, as well as Arwen, who, like her ancestor Lúthien, then chose the fate of becoming immortal for her love of a human. So that was the story of Beren and Lúthien, the short version. Let's go a bit back in time and go to the year 473, the year of another great battle, the so-called Nirnaeth Arnoediad, the Battle of Unnumbered Tears, and the fifth great battle in Beleriand. Mandos himself, quoting his curse of the Noldor, said, "Tears unnumbered ye shall shed." So prepare for lots of death in this grueling battle. Maedhros, Fëanor's eldest son, decided it was time to gather the forces again and regain their lost lands back from Morgoth. On paper, this plan actually looked really good, and any commander would have said the elves and all the other free folks united would stand a fair chance against Morgoth. The allies, or the Union of Maedhros, as it was called, included all the elves of Beleriand, the House of the Edain, dwarves, as well as Easterlings. They all were supposed to march on Thangorodrim. Maedhros' host, including the armies of all sons of Fëanor, the men of Himring under Bor, and the men of Amon Arab under Ulfang. They were supposed to attack from the east. The second host, under the lead of Fingon, including the elves and men of Hithlum, the elves of the Falas and Havens, the Haladin of Brethil, and a few elves from Nargothrond that didn't refuse to come due to his brother's deeds against Finrod. From Doriath only came two elves, Beleg and Mablung. They were supposed to attack from the west, and together they wanted to surround Morgoth's forces and crush them. Morgoth wouldn't be Morgoth, though, if he wouldn't be a step ahead of them again. He learned their battle plan from his spy and secret ally, Ulfang, who betrayed the Noldor and Maedhros. Again, I don't want to go too deep into battle tactics, but as you can imagine, due to the betrayal of Ulfang, the chieftain of the Easterlings, yep, those Easterlings, the armies of Maedhros Union kind of got slaughtered. A bit of hope arose. Out of nowhere, Torgon showed up from Gondolin with over 10,000 elves. Morgoth not only attacked with orcs and other foul creatures, but he also had Glaurung the dragon, Gothmog, Lord of the Balrogs, and other Balrogs. Torgon was trapped, and Medros, who wanted to come for aid, was then betrayed by Uldor, Ulfang's son, and kind of trapped. The dwarves of Belagos then helped most of the sons of Feanor escape, as they, under the command of their leader Azaghal, fought Glaurung. The other grand battle was fought under Fingon, High King of the Noldor's lead, and they were attacked by Gothmog. And the Balrog, on the fourth day of the battle, Gothmog and Fingon fought in single combat during their battle, but the king was slain by the fallen Maya and his black axe. Torgon and his men then basically were on their own, and his friend Húrin begged him to retreat back to Gondolin. Húr and Húrin together with their men helped the new High King escape. Húr fell, and Húrin kept fighting off orcs with his axe till he was captured and taken prisoner. More on that later. An important prophecy that we already mentioned was Húr, before departing with Torgon, foretold the king that from their lines a new star will arise. To finish off the battle with a battle, this was definitely a victory for Morgoth, so to speak. Fingon slain, the sons of Feanor were scattered, and all the forces of the free people were almost diminished. But one escaped his grasp. And Morgoth knew Torgon, or who would follow Torgon, would be his undoing. This was another prophecy. So even with his victory, he was not satisfied. His greatest foe was still alive, Torgon, the new High King of the Noldor and King of Gondolin. And with that, I want to end this video. Part 2 coming soon. I hope you enjoyed this, and leave a like. And if you want to know more, let me know in the comments. And I hope you liked it. Bye bye.